Hi, welcome back
Hi,
to We Will Go Down with This Ship. I'm Heather,
I'm Chelsea.
and today we are so lucky to talk to Kayleen, who is also Dova Kulas, who has written a fanfic that I'm sure all of our Ghoulcy shippers know as Ruined, and it's on
So
AO3.
good.
And we're just gonna sit and chat about Ghoulcy. So Kay, why don't you just talk a little bit just about yourself really quick, just so we know, who you are. We know it's Canada Day when we're recording, so happy Canada Day.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm Kayleen or Kay. So I am in my real life, I'm a vet tech. I also work in pet insurance as well. And I've been writing since I was a teenager. I've never published anything yet, but it's always been fan fiction. Started out on DeviantArt. To
Love
remember those
that.
days. Yeah,
Yes.
and then fanfiction.net. And of course, I got a little toxic, so moved to AO3, and this is where we are now.
What was your first ever ship?
Oh my God. I don't even know. I started writing, first thing I wrote fan fiction wise was I think a Harvest Moon fan fiction. I was like in
Wow.
in that world for a long time, and I don't remember where I went off after that, but for the first ship couple I've ever shipped, I don't even remember. It's just been so there's so many ships that I love,
Yes,
right?
right?
So, mhm.
Okay, let's do a top three. Like if you
Okay.
had top three.
From the top of my head, things that I was recently looking at. Obviously, Cooper and Lucy, Ghoulcy,
Of
or
course.
Vault Ghoul, as I've heard it called too. But
Yeah.
I think when the Fallout show came out, I spent like 3 weeks just like on AO3 reading
Me
fanfic. I was
too.
hyper fixated. It was really embarrassing.
It's not
um,
embarrassing.
yeah. And trying to think what else I was looking at. Oh yeah, Jack Sparrow and Elizabeth.
I do.
That is,
That's my
yeah,
ship too. I
Sparrow
love,
Beth. I love
yeah.
them. And I've heard some of my friends be like, no. I'm like, yes, yes,
Yeah.
100% yes. That
If
that
he
man
has
is
to be with,
beautiful.
if he has to be with anyone, it's Lizzie, or else don't make him with. I think this is why the fourth movie didn't do as well because no one believed that, like, Penelope Cruz is obviously gorgeous, but it was like just a
Hmm.
weird kind of like out of nowhere kind of
Yeah.
thing, you know? And I was just, and personally, like the way they wrote Lizzie, like in the first one, she was perfect. And then just
Hmm.
shit happened that I don't understand, but it's fine. But yeah, I feel like if you're gonna make him with anyone, make him with Lizzie or don't have him be with anyone, because I do not believe that he would commit to anyone besides her.
Oh no, he's a scoundrel for sure.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, that's she's the only woman I've ever really seen him with for like a commitment, long-term kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah. Hmm. What else I've been looking up lately? Oh yeah, we've been watching Jurassic Park, so I've been obsessed with Dr. Alan Grant. I call him Dr. Daddy, so it's
Is that
like
that's Jeff Goldblum, right?
no,
Oh.
um,
It's Sam
yeah,
Neill.
Sam Neill, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, and I read like a fanfic that was like the girl from the first movie, the teenager Lex Murphy, she was like grown up and then they had like a thing, but then it
Ooh.
got there's not much else on there fanfic wise for that pairing except for like underage stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no, we're getting away
No,
from
yeah.
that. No, thank
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
But yeah, other than that, I can't even think of what else I've been looking up.
It
I
just
just I
you were
go
so consumed with Ghoulcy, I guess.
pretty
Like
much. Yeah, it was a fixation. It was really really bad actually.
honestly, like that's how I felt after watching the show for the first time. Like I was
Hmm.
consumed with the fanfic, but also the YouTube like videos that people did
Hmm.
of them. And
Yes, the
then
Yes.
edit. They're
yeah,
Yeah,
so
the
good.
edits.
TikTok edits. It was like my whole For You page was all Cooper
Yes.
Howard. I was like, all right.
Chelsea sent me like 16 in a row in the span of like 2 minutes. I was like, I like all for it. Like, yes, give me more. But then it's like for me, like I'm like reading all of these like fanfics, including yours, and like I'll just start giggling because like it's right about the sex time. And my
Yeah.
husband will be like, what are you reading? And I'm like, nothing. I'm reading a book that I'm reading right now. And like just super awkward about it. And it's like, or like I'm like turning super red and my kids are right there and I have to make sure they can't read over
See the
my
screen?
shoulder. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Oh
Blake
my
will
gosh.
never judge me for reading my fanfic. Like, I love him. He will send me Ghoulcy smut that he finds like on Reddit
Oh, I love
and things
that.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Very
Um,
mine doesn't judge
supportive.
me either, so it's
yeah,
pretty
my
great.
husband doesn't either. It's just like I sometimes saying it out loud. Like it's kind of like I want to keep this my secret and I don't,
Right.
I'm in the middle of something, dear. Like anyway. But yeah, I think that's good that we have supportive partners and that
Absolutely.
they're not threatened by us reading about, sex with the ghoul, right? Like I feel like they benefit out of it anyway. So,
Oh
Absolutely.
God,
um,
yes. Like that's why Lake sends me fics. He's like, I know I'm gonna have a good day.
He knows
Here.
what he's doing. He knows.
yeah. Oh man. Okay, so what made you ship the Ghoul and Lucy? Like was there a moment in the show? Did you start shipping them before it even came out? Like what made you jump in on this?
Um, so I obviously like I saw the promo pics and the trailer and I'm like, that's a hot ghoul, okay? Let's get one thing straight. And I didn't know that they'd be traveling together, obviously, but as soon as they met in Philly, I was like, they're gonna make them travel together and there's no
Oh
other
yeah.
way. And of course, and this sounds really bad, but when he had lassoed her and started using her as bait, I'm like, yep, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah. That does not sound bad. Just wait until our episodes come out. I think we
Right?
spend like 15 minutes just like lasso. Like, calm down, Walton Goggins. Like, I am with my husband right here. Like, what? You need to stop. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm a huge stand for enemies to lovers and the older man, younger woman trope.
Yes.
I have friends, I have a couple of friends who make fun of me for it. I was telling one of my friends that I was on like this Fallout fixation and I'm like, yeah, I'm in love with Cooper Howard. And she's like, of course, he's over 200 years old. I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
Experience, okay?
It's the
Experience
experience,
Yes.
is
yeah.
a good thing.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like literally, Max is sitting across from her, basically saying it's like a pimple exploding, and you want me to ship her with him? Like, come on! Like, are we being serious right now? Like that? Like, I knew I was gonna ship the two, and I'm not even like a game
Hmm.
player. I saw it's like you said. I saw the ghoul. I was like, oh shit, like this is interesting. I saw a little of Lucy and I was like, oh my gosh, the grumpy sunshine, the enemies to lovers,
Oh
the
yeah.
age gap, like it's all there right for me. If he had been her teacher in some other life, I would have been dead. It
Right.
and
I love that.
I just like it's just all there for me. And I'm like, so yeah, but that's
Oh,
how
for
about
sure.
and it's sort of like so yeah, I knew that that was going to be the ship. And I just think that everything that you said, like the meeting, like the second they meet and how she's kind of like on this high horse about we
Oh
shouldn't
yeah.
be violent, and instead of killing her, which is what he did to everybody else, and it wasn't because she's a woman, like I'm sure he killed a few women in his life, but it's
Oh
like
yeah.
the little head tilt, the like staring her down, and the little amused smirk. I was done. I was like, no, they totally love each other already. Like I
That
can
head
already
tilt
yeah.
gave me chills. And of course, when
Yes,
he started calling her sweetheart, sweetie, darling, giggling, kicking my
Yes.
feet.
yes, exactly.
Like I
Yeah.
love that. Oh my gosh. So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's I totally get that. I love that you're into the age gap too. Like I am
Hmm.
too. I love the professor student niche. Like I love it when there's an
Yeah.
imbalance of power. Like I love
Hmm.
that. But obviously she has more power than he does if we're really
Yeah, of
um
course. Yeah, for
um
sure.
so I was reading your author's notes and so you actually play the games then, right? How
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, so I was just gonna ask, with you playing the games, how do you think that the show did when you're already familiar with this world? Because I've heard mixed reviews from people who are so familiar with the games, and being an outsider, I'm like, oh, the show is perfect, but
Right.
yeah, so what did you think?
So, I mean, I'll start by saying like my husband has never played any of the games, but but he thought the show was fantastic as well. It's so good. And I've played Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3, and Fallout 4. Um, Fallout New Vegas is my favorite, but I found like they really did a good job keeping, to the lore. I mean, the storyline, obviously it's its own different storyline, but keeping to the general
World building.
story of Fallout. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I mean, they did a great job of making Lucy as the perfect naive vault dweller character that you play in the game, like the OC playing the game, where they're kind of like super clueless about the world around them, and just some of the things she says, it's just like that sounds like something a character would say, like your character would say. So I think they did a really good job personally. Like the writing was fantastic, the setting, and just the ending where Hank ended up in New Vegas. I squealed. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that's where we're ending up. So yeah, I mean, I think they did great. So
Awesome.
mhm.
Chelsea, do you have any questions you want to jump in with really quick?
Um, have you had any experiences with Ghoulcy antis, or do you keep your feeds kind of clean of those?
Um, sorry, you said Ghoulcy anti.
So like
Oh,
Yeah.
when
okay.
in the reviewers, yeah.
Yeah, she just cut out a little bit, so I just wanted to confirm. Yeah, like not really. Like my feeds are pretty clean of that. TikTok knows what I want, right? So, I had some, Max and Lucy edits as well, which I think are super cute. And then you see the comments like, I don't know why they're shipping her with Cooper, and I'm just like, well. So I
Watch our
avoid those.
podcast, you'll see why.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So I
like,
mean,
I'm not
not
against
really.
Max, but like Cooper's just what I prefer.
Oh, for sure. Like Max, Max is, he's a very sweet character. The actor is very handsome. Let's get that straight.
Oh,
But
that's what we
it's
say too. And he's very
yeah.
charming. Like he's funny.
Oh
If you watch
yeah.
him in interviews, oh my God. I mean, yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's too naive for her, and he has this hidden anger that, at least Cooper doesn't try to hide it, and he hasn't really lied to her. He's kind of just, I'm an asshole, and that's where I'm at.
I
Oh
can't
yeah.
wait for you to see my Maximus crack theories when the episodes drop.
Oh yeah. I'm
No,
excited.
it's no, and we think the same thing. And it's I just it's such good storytelling. All of the characters are so compelling, whether it's like the little side characters or even like Barb. Like I do not like her, but I'm very
Mhm.
curious like what how did you divorce? Where are you right now? Like what's going on? I just think that they did such a good job with this, being the first season and the setup and everything like that.
Mhm.
So where did you get the idea for Ruined? Like what made you think of like what inspired you?
So, like I said, so after we watched the show the first time, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go searching for fanfic. So I read a whole bunch, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start writing. And for me, my writing process is super chaotic. So I'm always like, when I'm falling asleep, I'm like writing scenes in my head. Okay, I'm falling asleep, I'm in bed, and I'm like, my imagination is just wild all the time. So I'm always thinking about stuff. So I think I don't even know. I think I had like just a certain scene planned. I think when I was like, I think if he takes care of her when she's sick, let's just go for that. And then I just kind of expanded off that. I finally know where I'm ending, but as for the idea, I don't think I don't even know where I came
Yeah.
up with it. It was just so much research and reading and watching the show a few times. I'm like, okay, we need to write a fan fiction of this.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
So
What's easier, Cooper's point of view or Lucy's? Because you go back and forth, and I feel like you do a really good job
Oh,
in their
thank you.
heads. Yeah.
Yeah. So Cooper's is more fun because he's very possessive, toxic. Let's get that straight. Toxic in his obsession. But Lucy's, I can relate to it a little bit more because, you know, I don't know if either one is easier. His is more fun, but I really enjoy being in her POV as well, just because she's, you know, with like my latest chapter, she's like, okay, I love this man, and she's just trying to show her love for him,
Without saying the 3 words
without
yet.
saying the
Yep.
words, because you know that might send him running away. But yeah, I really like, I don't think either one is easier than the other. They're both fun for me. So
Do you have any plans to write more after you finish this one, or do you kind of need to take a break and like figure out if you get any plot bunnies, or what's that sort of part of the process for you?
maybe so it's been a while since I've like written and posted any fan fiction. The last time was on fanfiction.net, and then I got tired of it and like deleted my account, or like deleted all my stories kind of thing. I was just done with it, and then Fallout had inspired me to write more. So I might need a break. I'm a slow writer. I write and then I spend days editing, and so I already took like a month break or so between the last chapter I posted and this one, but I'm not sure. I love this pairing, so I'd love to write more. I just need to wait to get more inspiration, I guess, to what I want to do.
Yep,
So,
for sure.
Sometimes it's really good to just like wait and ruminate on it and like take your time with it. I'm a very
oh,
slow
for
writer
sure.
also.
Yeah, I've made mistakes before where I've written stuff too fast and pushed it out, and then I'm just like, I don't like this. So yeah, I don't want to do that. So
Um, out of all of the scenes that you currently have posted right now or chapters, do you have a favorite scene that you've written?
yeah, I think it's chapter 3 when they're in the dressing room.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That's mine too.
Yep. I'm like,
Yes.
yep, I thought of that before. I think I thought of that like when I started the first chapter. I'm like, yep, this is what I want to do.
This is
So
what's gonna happen.
yeah. And a very fast burn. I did not expect this to be fast burn, but here we are.
I mean, it worked for the fic. I thought that it was it's like seamless. Like I feel like sometimes when they rush it, you're kind of like, no, whoa, dude, like we need to
For
build
sure.
it up. But I felt like even the first 2 chapters and just being in each character's head, like I felt like that was enough. And there was obviously a time passage between them, which I thought you established really well. So it's like, even though when you're reading the fic, it is a fast burn being in chapter 3, in reality, it's not a fast burn between them because they have already been on the road together for a certain amount of time anyway, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know the exact distance, but I'm sure from California to the Mojave, it's a little bit far of a walk, right? So I'm assuming we're looking on weeks, maybe months, you know?
Right.
So yeah, that's what I was worried about, of course, is making, you know, the smut happen too early, right? But yeah, I'm hoping I conveyed the passage of time okay. So
I think
yeah.
so.
You did. You did a good job.
Thank you.
What was the most difficult one, do you think? Or what did you struggle with the most? Which scene?
So I think just violence in general. I'm not good at writing it. Like so I did have to write that one quite a few times, just the when she got held at gunpoint kind of thing. But again, it's in her POV, so she's kind of hiding and she doesn't see anything, just hears, which worked out great for me for the writing perspective. But yeah, I have more violence coming up, I think, in his point of view. So I've gotta have to work on that a lot, I think. But yeah, yeah, like I said, just writing, fighting is just not my forte, but trying.
I don't know. When Cooper says something like, okay, if we're doing this, you're mine, and then he proceeds to tell her how he was going to like kill the guy who held her up at gunpoint or knife point, I think. I was
Yeah.
like, that was very descriptive, and I loved every single second of it.
Yes, absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
Thought it was fantastic.
the
And like I love
implied
the
torture.
whole he'll like skin and eat any man who says
Yeah.
a cross word to her. Like, yes, I'm so here for that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
there's spoiler alert, I guess, but I do have a plan for that. Like someone
Even better.
does like try to touch her, and he does make good on his word, and she's like not expecting it.
Let's
So,
just say that. Yeah,
yeah.
I totally get what you're saying.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so here for it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Chelsea, why don't you tell her what your favorite line is? Like she literally sends me this screen
Aw.
grab of it. It's so cute.
Yes, I love it.
What's your
My
favorite?
favorite line in the whole fic is he swallowed. Here fucking goes. You're like the goddamn sun, Lucy, the only bright spot I've had in 200 years of this purgatory. He locked her in place with his eyes. You make me feel alive. Like, I love it.
You're
I
making me
love
blush.
it.
No, that was my second favorite.
Really?
My first favorite was okay, he knew he wanted to ruin her, but he never stopped to think for 1 second that she would be able to ruin him. Like I feel
Yeah.
like Chelsea's and then that one, like I know we aren't sitting in the writer's room, but I feel
Yeah.
like that is such a headcanon of who Cooper Howard is. Like he is so, I think even you say it in your in one of your author's notes, like, oh, he's pulling away again or something like that. He doesn't believe he deserves to be happy or
Yeah.
whatever. And I just feel like Lucy is literally the sunshine. And so he's like this grump, and I just it's like perfect. And I feel like he would completely 100% be attracted to Lucy. Like, and he wouldn't deny it. I think that he's not an idiot. Like, she's a
No.
good looking girl, but I think that he would be taken by surprise when she affects him in a way that he's not expecting. I think it's already happening, like while they're talking to each other.
Oh yeah.
Especially after the, golden rule motherfucker. Like, I think he
That's
fell
so
in love
good.
at that point. Yeah, I was like, he's done for.
Yeah, I think so too. Like he's killed like everyone he's come across really, and his 219 years, I believe, and it's just this girl, this vault dweller who
Yeah.
he hates vault tech, and then she saves his sorry ass, right? And he's like, well, fuck, like, all right, gonna bring her along with me, I guess. And I was like, oh yes, I cannot wait for season 2. And
The way they ended episode 8 was so good.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
so good. I cannot wait for season 2 either. And I'm like dying every day that we don't have it yet.
I know.
I thought it was so poignant because like his back is to her. And so he knows she has the gun. And it's like even though obviously he knows like if he shoots, besides if it's a headshot, he's not gonna die necessarily. But he could still turn around, pull on her, kill her. Because when she like locks in the gun, when she's ready to fire, he hears it. You see it flashes to him, and he doesn't do anything. He's going to give her this choice. And he kills, she kills his, her mom. Mercy killing the same way that he did for Roger, essentially. And it's just like I felt like that moment right there when, like you said, he's been killing everybody. He's not discriminate when it comes to killing. And the fact that he gave her that choice of like, who are you going to become? Like, which way are you going to go?
Yeah.
Like, to me, like, it sounds so morbid, but I'm like, that is so romantic, Cooper. Like, oh,
It
he
is.
just won me
Yeah,
It is
over.
I
romantic.
Yeah.
completely
And I
agree.
also loved that he was kind enough not to say, I told you so, even though he totally could have,
Oh, for
because
sure.
he
We'll
knew
see.
so
We'll
much
see.
more about her dad.
I could see him saying it like 3 days later, though, like, hey, by the way, I fucking told you. Like,
Right. But
Yeah.
in that moment
yes,
that
in
he
the moment.
chose not to say, I told
Yes.
you so, like, for me, that was huge.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, uh, he's gonna be so hard on her the next season, but you
Literally.
know, literally, but I really, really hope that they go that direction that we're hoping for. The forced proximity, the enemies to lovers, like
All of it.
there's like
Please give me the only one bed trope.
I was
Prime.
just
I'm
about to
just
say that.
begging.
I was like, there
No,
better be one bed.
the one that you did, who did this to you when he sees the scar on, like, okay,
Yeah,
me and Chelsea were talking, the moments that we can't wait for is when she finds out who he really is. And
same.
definitely the scar for sure.
Hmm.
Because me and Chelsea are like, it's very Persephone's Hades or Beauty and the Beast. And like
Yeah.
they could completely lean into this. And I feel like if you remember episode 2, when Lucy's like kind of starry-eyed over Max, who's a
Hmm.
literal knight in shining armor, I'm
Hmm.
really hoping that the writers did that on purpose, where they were really on the nose with everything, because I'm like, okay, sure, he's the first handsome guy that, is not related to her. And
Oh,
so
for sure.
I totally get that. But I'm also hoping that it's one of those things where it's like, you shouldn't be with that quintessential Prince Charming. You should be with the guy who like makes you a better person and teaches you the lessons that you need to know to be that better person.
Hmm.
And obviously that's Cooper. Like, when we break down episode 4, we like, there Max is nowhere in that episode at all. And so
Yeah.
it's like both of them have that mirror moment or that reflection against each other of they're both teaching each other lessons, and I just I love that so much. So
Hmm.
so yeah.
Yeah, I really like, I mean, it's a lot of writers headcanons that I'm sure she had a crush on Cooper Howard, the actor,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's what, Hank made. I'm sure Hank had like weekly movie nights watching the same movie over and over again, right? So
Yes.
I really that
Yes.
man has a crush on Cooper too, let's be
Yeah.
honest.
He would be fine if Lucy was calling him daddy. He'd be like, I get it.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's obvious. I mean, it's not a stretch to say that she has a crush on the actor, right? So when she finds out who it really is, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't wait.
I
I know.
can't
But
wait either.
mhm.
Do you
Also,
have
can we talk about the thing where she realizes that he has her finger in your fic?
oh
Because that was
yes.
so amazing. I was just like, ah, yes. And then oh, girl, that got me.
Hey, he always wears gloves, right? So,
Right.
but in this show, I was like, when he was sewing on her finger, I was like, oh my God, here we go. And it's just
Right?
like,
The heart-shaped loop in the thread, like, you can't
mm,
tell me that's not on purpose. Shut up. Like,
right? Like obviously you could argue that yeah, it was there, but he didn't have to keep it. He put it in his pocket, right? He didn't have to keep the damn finger, so he did, and he sewed her finger
right.
on there.
He
But
also didn't have to take the fall for her for what went
oh, for
down
sure.
at
Mm-hmm.
the organ
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. My favorite part though, even though it's morbid, but like there you
There's
are, you
no,
little killer.
yeah,
Like
that we literally say that's our
girl,
favorite
yeah.
line. That is our
yes.
Yeah.
favorite line in the whole damn show. Like, oh my gosh, it was so good. There's no
But
judgment here, by the way. Like, we
yeah,
love
no
this.
worries.
No judgment.
I just like the I mean, I had wrote it in my fic, right? But the eye contact between the two of them, between him at least him at that moment where, he's cutting off her finger, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this man is into it. He doesn't know it yet, but he's
I
into
no,
it.
I think I told Chelsea he got hard the second that she bit
Oh
off
She bit
his
yeah.
his
finger.
finger off
Like, let's be real.
instantly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with that there you are, you little killer. Like,
Yeah.
no
That was
shit.
so
Like that man
hot.
is
Oh,
that man
He's
wants
in love
her.
and he does not even know it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Oh man.
His character in Tomb Raider walked so Cooper Howard could run. I swear to God.
Yeah. Oh my
But
gosh.
going back to the who did this to you thing, yeah, like I had a commenter the other day on my fic say, like, I've read tons of Ghoulcy fics and I haven't had anyone address that scar, right? And I was like, yeah. And because it's one of my favorite tropes. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna throw that in there. But I'm wondering if they're gonna throw that in the show, because once he sees that, the who the fuck did this to you kind of thing. I'm really hoping that we get that, because we're feral for it.
Yes,
Well,
like
and
I'm
like,
so hoping also.
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's like they have so much potential. And obviously,
Mhm.
like, Fallout isn't just this romance, but if we're talking about giving Cooper Howard his humanity back, this is part of that, where he
Mhm.
cares about somebody else outside of Jane, outside of, if he still cares about Barb. I guess you can make the argument either way. But it's like caring about not only some other person, but a vault tech, vaulty, whatever. I think that that would be really poignant in terms of his character transformation. And like me and Chelsea, one of our headcanons going into season 2 is that he is going to be super possessive and protective, but he's going to give her shit. So
Oh
like
yeah,
he'll
I
give
agree.
her shit, he'll like do whatever. But the second anyone even looks at her the wrong way, it's done. Like he is not having it. And so like I could even picture the scene in my head where she's like, she has to change out of her clothes for some odd reason. And he, of course, happens to be looking and he sees the scar and he stops her from putting her shirt on and says, "What is this? Who did this to you?" Like, whatever. And,
Mhm.
I don't know. And I think that what I loved about your fic too, that I have noticed not a lot of people touch in it, is the psychology behind touch. And like, I
Mhm.
feel like Cooper Howard doesn't want to be touched and he doesn't touch other people. And
Yeah.
so that is very intimate, just that, the touching of his face and things like that,
And
which
asking
I
him to
love.
take his gloves off
Yeah.
also. Like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, like, he's he's horny for her, right? But
Yeah.
he doesn't want her to, you know, uh think that he's a monster already, more than she already does, which, but yeah, the like you said, the psychology of touch, like there's no way, like I'm sure he's hasn't been celibate the past 200 years, but I
Right.
can't imagine that he's been like fully naked, taking all of his armor off,
No.
his clothes are
Right.
like his armor, right? So
My head
Absolutely.
my head canon for that is that like he's just looking like either like having sex is like one part of his humanity. Like
mhm.
everyone has needs, right? He's been alive for 217 years. But like I think it's a quick fuck that he's paying for. I
Mhm.
totally think he's paying for it. And I think that he he's not taking clothes off. He probably brings the woman, like he makes her come and everything like that. I don't think that's so much an issue, but I don't think that that's his desire. Like he's just looking to get off, and if she gets off before him, fine. But
Mhm.
I think that with Lucy, it's different, obviously, and
Yep.
I think that again, it's that monster versus man.
Mhm.
And that's like, I feel like one of his trajectories in terms of his character transformation is finding that balance, because he's only been regarded as a monster for so long that he believes it of himself. And so
Yeah.
it's like even in your story where it's like he's pushing her away because he doesn't want the pity. And I think part of him too is that fear of like, I know I'm a monster, but if she thinks I'm a monster, that's just gonna break my heart too.
Mhm. Yeah.
One
I
thing that I thought you did super well in your fic, and I loved it so hard, is that Lucy sees his humanity and treats him like a person despite what he looks like, despite the radiation and how it's changed him and all this kind of stuff. Like she just treats him like a person, and I loved everything about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even in the show too, like I
Yeah.
mean, she had a moment where she's like, what are you, or who are you? I think she said. And you know, but never saw any real disgust on her face, right? Because I'm sure she didn't know what ghouls were, or when she came out of until she came out of her vault and saw him, right? So even in the show, that's why I kind of brought it in my fic, because I don't think she would be like, oh, this man is disgusting, why is he touching me? Like what I feel like, he thinks, like, I can't believe she can even stand to touch me, right? So
And
Right. And that was a
that's
great
something,
thing they
yeah.
did in the show when she released all those ghouls, even the
mhm,
feral ones, like, not necessarily knowing that the feral ghouls were going to be a problem in the organ
mhm.
market, but like she sees them as much as people as anybody else. And I love that about Lucy. And you
Yeah.
did that so well in your fic.
Oh, thank you.
Well, and we see it too. Me and Chelsea talk about this, where she has so many opportunities to like flinch when he touches her. Like she's mad for genuine, like for how he treats her, not for what he
Mhm.
looks like.
Yeah.
And and there are so, like I said, there's so many opportunities for her to actually say something about it or comment about it. And it's like she doesn't, I think that's what scares Cooper so much about her, is that she doesn't see him as a monster. And he's wanted to forget his past and forget who he was before all of this. And for her to see him in this way, it brings up so much for him that he has to like push her away in order to try and remember, like, no, I am a monster, I need to be a monster. But like, I think even Walton Goggins, like when he's doing his interviews, he's talking about like, like he's using her for bait, he's trying to teach her a lesson, he's trying to do X, Y, and Z. And if
Yeah.
you even have the actor portraying the ghoul like think this way, like I wouldn't even consider that he hates Vault-Tec, and he probably hates her to agree based on what she represents. But I think that the fact that he would even waste his time trying to have a conversation with her, trying to teach her things, says that he sees her almost like an equal, or he's trying to protect her from turning into this, I'm just going to believe whatever Vault-Tec
Mhm.
tells me,
Oh,
and
for
he's
sure.
going to be a dick about it, but he wouldn't waste his time with anybody else trying to teach him this kind of lesson. So I think already that is a huge deal just for him as a character.
Yeah, I'm wondering too if he would have changed his mind when he sold her off if he didn't collapse on the ground. That's that's what I'm wondering, because I mean, like I agree with you, you're trying to teach her a lesson, but I don't know personally if he would have just let her get sold like that. If he didn't, like, I mean, in the end, if he wouldn't have come in and rescued her or whatever, but I'm not sure if he was at the point yet to want to rescue her, but
I
who
think
knows?
I think potentially I think potentially he would,
Mm-hmm.
only because he knew her name. And so if he wants revenge, because he finds out about her name before she gets sold. And what me
Mm-hmm.
and Chelsea point out is that, first of all, he takes her to a medical center first. His first
Mm-hmm.
intention was not to sell her off, but if he's trying to get back to
Mm-hmm.
Janie, he needs these chems. And so
Yeah.
me and Chelsea actually talk about, like, do you think he would have? And I think he's going to, if we're looking at it from like a non-shipper standpoint in terms of practicality, I think that if he wants to get to Hank, having his daughter alive is a really good bargaining chip.
For
So
sure.
I think it's more of, if he doesn't collapse, he'd probably demand the chems right away
Mm-hmm.
after sending her in. And I think once he's secured the chems, he would grab her, and not necessarily in a romantic way, because he could continue to do this at other sort of like
For
markets
sure.
like that. So,
Yeah.
um, so yeah,
Oh, like running a con. I like that. I
yeah.
like
Oh, for sure.
But but yeah, so do you have any other headcanons for either Lucy herself, Cooper himself, or just together, or any theories of season 2 that you kind of have,
Hmm.
especially since you played the game, so you kind of
Yeah.
know maybe a little bit about what might happen?
Yeah, so for season 2, so my real I don't have like a huge I'm not really sure where they're gonna go ultimately. I mean, I know at the end of season 1, Hank is heading off to New Vegas, and you can see it looks a little rough. But the Lucky 38, where Mr. House is presumably um in, is still standing. So I think have I know you haven't, Heather, but Chelsea, have you played Fallout New Vegas at all, or do you know about the
Not yet.
endings?
It is
Okay.
on my list.
Okay,
I'm
no
still
worries.
dicking around in Fallout 4.
No worries. There's so much to do in Fallout 4, but the reason I'm asking is because there's like 4 different endings to Fallout New Vegas, no matter like which route you choose. And the Mr. House route is, I mean, the only route where he would stay alive. So there is a point where you can kill him, but in his route, if you're siding with him, he's going to take over Vegas and keep the strip pristine and exclusive. So I'm wondering if that is the route that they went with, just based on how the Lucky 38 casino is looking in the distance and how the rest of New Vegas is a little like ruined looking, more ruined than it was. So it's either that or maybe the NCR, I'm not sure. So either way, Hank is gonna try to find what he's looking for. As for the rest of it, I'm not 100% sure if Cooper is going to find his family alive. Barb is a survivor. That woman is probably survived somehow, whether in, cryo or whatever. But I don't know about Janie. Presumably Barb would want to keep her alive, because I mean, she is her daughter. She does love her, you
Mhm.
know. But I don't think it's going to be a happy ending for him. I just have that gut feeling personally. So I mean, you don't really get, you kind of get an okay ending, an acceptable ending in the Fallout games. So I feel like the show's not going to be like, oh, unicorns and rainbows, everyone's happy now. I feel like that's not where it's going to go. But again, I can only speculate, right? So I'm not entirely sure where they're going with it. But
What's your opinion on so let's hypothetically say that Barb is alive, and that's what Chelsea and I think too, in some form or another. Do you think that Cooper do you think he hates Barb? Do you think he wants to get back together with her? Like, where do you think his headspace is at the end of season 1? And like, what would you predict would be a good, maybe not a unicorn ending for that storyline per se, but like, how would you want to see that whole storyline get wrapped up?
So as for Barb, I mean, I I personally think he hates her. She's, she's done so much to him. Like you said, she's a very intriguing character, but I mean, she's perpetuated the bombings, right? Presumably, in the Fallout games, there's kind of ambiguous who dropped the bombs first to end the world, I guess. But the show has confirmed, hey, it's Vault Tech. So the fact that she was involved in that, he hates her, and the fact, they're divorced. And I I don't know. We haven't heard, obviously, we haven't seen what happened with Janie, and I'm assuming that Barb had come and taken Janie from him, because he burned into, by the radiation and turned into the ghoul. So I'm assuming she took her daughter into a vault somewhere, whether it's Vault 31 or it's a different upper management vault, I don't know. But I feel like he does hate her, and I think he is going to kill her.
Please, God, please.
I know. That's the only way I see that ending. Like, I don't see a world where they end up together. Like, I'm sure she hates him too, to be honest. And the fact that I feel like when she sees him as the ghoul, it's not gonna be good. She's not gonna be attracted to him or want to get together with him. I mean, You know, and as for Janie, I hope she's alive, but there's a chance that she could be a ghoul too. I don't know, right? So it's a good ending would be at least he finds her, but whether hopefully she's not dead. That's, you know,
Wouldn't it
because
suck if Janie was a ghoul and Cooper
Mhm.
had to mercy kill her?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
The same way Lucy did with her mom.
yeah. You know,
bro.
Oh, I just
he's
thought of that right now. Oh my God.
yeah, I thought of that too. I've read a few fan fictions where like she's Janie's in cryo storage in Vault 31. I've read one where she is a ghoul and Barb is working with Vault Tech to reverse the ghoulification process. But I don't know what direction they're gonna go. I really hope she's alive because that man deserves some ounce of happiness.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
but
so
Well,
much
and
so.
I think like so Chelsea and I, our biggest concern is that they're gonna try to give him a redemption arc. And so
yeah,
like because obviously his transformation is finding his humanity again.
yeah,
And like obviously the biggest show of that would be for him to make some kind of sacrifice, not necessarily to save Janie, but to save the person who made him the way that he is, which would be
yeah,
Barb.
yeah.
We're hoping that he's getting the transformation from this newfound family between him, Lucy, and CX 404, dog meat, whatever. Um, and like I just and it would be very interesting if he had to make some kind of choice between his old family and his new family. Like, do you go back into the past and try to, reclaim it, or do you move on to this unknown future with, this these people that you've surrounded yourself with? Um, so as long as they don't sort of either redeem Barb or try to have Cooper make some kind of really like stupid sacrifice to show now finally he's human again or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm fine with whatever they do because they did a really solid job of season one. Like,
Oh,
so
for sure.
I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, there is that in the back of my head that at least in mainstream pop culture, you can't just ever have a true morally gray character without some kind of like, no pun intended, but fallout from it, right? Like if we're even looking at Daemon Targaryen, I don't know, have you
Mhm.
have you watched House of Dragon?
Yep.
So it's sort of like everybody loves him, but now all of a sudden it's like, I mean, I was telling Chelsea this before we started talking. It was really frustrating when the writers came out and said, "Why is Damon the internet's boyfriend? He's such a terrible person." And I'm like, well, like,
Do we
no.
have to explain it really?
Yeah, and that's what
Like,
I said. Like, how do you
mhm.
not understand this? And so now it feels like they have to make him do kind of uncharacteristic things that to make everyone sort of believe he's a bad guy now. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, and
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen to Cooper because I think he's just so perfect. And luckily, Walton Goggins has come out saying it's very collaborative, so he can go to the writers and talk to them about his
Mhm.
character. So yeah, so that's my biggest thing with Barb. Like I just don't want it to be where it's like they're going to try to be a family again and Barb is redeemed and she's so sorry and Coop is just so willing to forgive her. I'm like, dude, she wouldn't
Yeah.
even let him take the dog into the vault, okay? There's no forgiving
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
And
I
I have
agree
a
with that. I was
headcanon that
like,
that was Barb's idea to not allow dogs in the vaults. Because you could tell she
yep.
didn't like Roosevelt at all. And I'm just like, you bitch.
Yeah, I agree with that actually. But yeah, you know, like what you're saying, Heather, like I swear if they try to make him into some kind of martyr, some kind of hero, I will be so upset because like we can't ever have like I know the point of Fallout isn't the romance and being in
right.
love with this ghoul, right? But the fact we can never have a true villain, right? So like Cooper's not a villain, he's an anti-hero, right? But I don't want him to turn into some hero.
No.
And like there's a reason why we read books like with like true villains because they will be a villain for everyone else but the person they love, and that's where I hope that they go with it for Cooper. And if they don't, it's gonna be sad, because if there is some way where he has to sacrifice himself for Janie or Barb or something, I'll be pissed.
Well, and
Me
that's
too.
interesting. Have you seen Justified at all? Or no?
No.
Okay, so Walton Goggins is also in Justified, and he plays Boyd, who is the bad guy in
Right.
that. And the canonical relationship between him and Ava is just, it's perfect. I mean, granted, I'm only in season 5. And there are 6 seasons, but that is essentially, he is this morally gray character. Granted, he's not the main character the way that Timothy Oliphant's character is, but he's literally ready to burn the world down for Ava, and he makes no apologies for it. And so far in the first 4 seasons, that has not changed. And so I'm like, this is what I need more of. Like, I need more of that unapologetic obsession for this person that they love, and they are willing to do whatever it takes for that person. And so that is why, like, I don't want Cooper, like, and that's what Chelsea and I were talking about, is I want Lucy to accept Cooper for who he is right now. And I think that she's on that verge of doing it, especially when they start spending so much time together. And I just think that by turning him good, I think it's too kitschy. I don't need this fairy tale ending. I want him to be exactly who he is and still get a happy ending, because he deserves a happy, you don't have to be this perfect person to get a happy ending, you know? And I'm hoping that the nuance of Fallout shows this, because we see the people who are supposed to be good are actually evil. The people who are not great actually have some redeeming qualities. Like even the chicken fucker saved
Save
Thaddeus.
our boy Thaddeus.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, turning into a ghoul, I mean, he did save him, but also
I felt like that was ironic justice for Thaddeus, though, with all the
Yeah.
thoughts that have been put in his head by the Brotherhood. But I just love Thaddeus, and like I hope we get to see more of him in the future. I hope he wasn't just a season 1 character, because he's adorable and we love him.
yeah, no, he's great. That was definitely a good end for him. Like, yeah, the Brotherhood's not gonna like that.
No, but can you imagine if Cooper had to like show Thaddeus the ropes on like how to be a ghoul? Like,
Yeah.
oh my
So
gosh,
cute,
I would
please.
die.
That'd be so good.
Yeah. But I loved in your story, because this is one of my headcanons, is that like when they start on their road trip, like right now, obviously Lucy's sort of like in mourning, but once she kind of gets past that, she's not going to be able to shut up. And he is going to get so annoyed with her. And they're just going to fight all the time. And she's just going to be asking him questions. Like, that is one of like my theories, my headcanons, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, no, for sure. She's going to annoy the hell out of him, and it's going to be great when, he claps back and then she gets upset, and I feel like he's going to be like, "Oh shit, like what did I just do?" We'll see. But yeah, one of my other headcanons too is when you were saying about him like accepting his past, like that's good. Like I hope he does accept his past, but I don't want him to go back to that, certainly, because I mean that's not who he is anymore. And I've every fan fiction I've read with those two, she's always calling him Coop instead of Cooper, and I feel I have the headcanon that he doesn't want to be called Coop, because that is a huge reminder of his past. Like Cooper is it, and I put that in my story because
I saw that. Yeah,
because I'm just like, I feel like he personally, in my opinion, I feel like that's not it for him. That's just gonna remind him, he already has enough reminders of his past with her presence, just her and Vault Tech. And I don't I don't want them to go back for him to have that redemption arc of like, oh, my past is great now, like let's go back to the way it was before. No.
no.
I agree.
If you were writing the show and we get what we want, obviously,
Yeah.
how would you have them sort of get together, because I'm a big fan of the slow burn with
Yeah.
little moments progressing the relationship forward. So you
Same
don't
here.
necessarily have to say like, oh, they have to, like, let's pretend it's 3, 5, whatever seasons, it doesn't matter. What is the moment where Lucy realizes she loves Cooper, where Cooper realizes he loves Lucy, and how they get together? Like, if you could write the story.
I feel like the way it would most make sense is in a situation where he has to save her life. Like that's the only way that I feel like it would have to go. She gets herself into trouble. She talks so much, right? And she is good with the gun, but I mean, like she's book smart, she's not street smart. So she somehow made her way through the first season to the observatory by herself mostly. She made her way, but I just feel like she's gonna get herself into the wrong situation and he's gonna have to save her. That's what I feel like. So
What about you, Chelsea?
I,
What do you think?
I have a weird headcanon
mm-hmm.
that like as they're growing closer and this like found family feeling is building, she's going to do something stupid in an attempt to protect him and this new
Mm-hmm.
found family that she has with him and Dogmeat. And she's going to do something in an attempt to protect him or defend him that almost gets her hurt or killed. And then he has this light bulb moment of, oh shit, I care a lot. I might
Mm-hmm.
actually love this person. That was so stupid. Why the fuck would you do that? Like,
I like
that's
that.
my
I
headcanon.
like that too. Yeah. No, that's
Uh,
good.
my headcanon is I would love to see Lucy be forced to choose, like, between going with Max. Like, oh, he thinks that, because my thing is, when Max wakes up, he thinks the ghoul takes her by force, because he
Yeah.
doesn't, they made that promise and he has no reason to believe that she would not, follow through with that promise. And
Mm-hmm.
so he thinks he's actually going to save her, only to realize, like, oh, they're getting along. He's not trying to hurt her. And he's going to force her to choose between returning with Max or whatever, or staying with Cooper. And I think Cooper's automatically going to assume she's going to go off with Max, but in reality, she's going to choose Cooper. And that's only going to like piss Max off. And
Yeah.
because he's risked so much, he's done so much. And so I think in that moment, when Lucy decides to stick it out with him versus the traditionally attractive, the younger guy, the guy who, ticks off all the right boxes,
Mm-hmm.
I think when that happens, he's going to realize, like, oh shit, she did that for me. Like, not even Barb did that for me. Like, no one has done that for accepting him as the ghoul, not, Cooper Howard or whatever.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
so like I would love to see something like that. Um, but yeah, that's
And that
just,
would play into my favorite crack theory really
you
well
should just
because
tell her.
I
You should just
I
tell her.
I have a crack theory that Maximus
Mm-hmm.
is actually going to become a villain. And
Yeah,
like
I do
I could
too.
see him being such a charismatic bad guy and like maybe end up even like rising further through the ranks of the Brotherhood and running the Brotherhood after he has his downward spiral moment when he realizes that Lucy is not gonna choose him. Like I'm so here for that. I would love to see Aaron Moten play
Oh, yeah.
that arc. Like I think it would be beautiful and he would do a fantastic job and he would be a sexy bad guy. I'm just
Oh, yeah.
saying, like, come on,
Oh,
guys.
for sure. I have that theory too. Like when we watched the show the first time, it was just surprising how, well, not surprising, but how he is the good guy, right? But he has this dark side. Like when he's trying to get his the power armor suit back and he's just like bashing in heads, you're like, all right, there's something going on with him, right? And
Yes.
but he is just so indoctrinated into the Brotherhood that I totally agree with you, Chelsea, that he is probably going to become a villain, and I'm totally here for it.
Oh, I need to see him commit war crimes. Like,
Oh
I
yeah,
need to see it happen. Please, Aaron
absolutely.
Moulton. Like the
Absolutely.
writers, if you are listening, can you please give us badass Maximus as a bad guy? Because that would be so hot, first of all. And like it makes sense with the character arc as it's already set up. And I'm just like, please.
Well, because me and Chelsea were talking about it, like even in that second episode, like the one where you say where he's trying to get that armor back, it's like
Hmm.
you even gosh, even when he was with Titus, right? It's like you're at the point where you're rooting for him, but then he makes a questionable choice where it's like you're getting too much enjoyment watching Titus die. Like
Yeah.
that's a little strange. Or like when he was about to crush freaking Thaddeus's head when
Thaddeus's head.
Thaddeus, yeah. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, this is weird, but he doesn't. And so it's like you're kind of like, as when I was watching it the first time, I was like, this feels weird, but I don't know why, because he technically hasn't done anything wrong. But then the second he lied to Lucy about when they were in Vault, gosh, 4, I think it was,
Hmm.
and like all of that, I was like, dude, you lied. First of all, you obviously lied to her about who you are. So I'm already like not with you at this point. But then to like lie to her about this when she's so accepting of so much, I'm just like, okay, I can't ship this. And I don't know, like, again, if I'm like just in my villain era, I'm like, oh yeah, you do you. But
Oh
like, if
yeah.
I'm in my like Lucy, I gotta back her up, I'm like, dude, no, get away from him, Lucy. Like, go with Coop because Cooper will handle it.
At least
Like,
Cooper's honest about who and what he is.
exactly.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. If Cooper wasn't in this, then yeah, like totally like Lucy and Maximus, like I totally support, them together, like
Right.
as, him being a villain, like we said. And but unfortunately with there's Cooper Howard. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but
right. And like
yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw somebody on Twitter yesterday that was answering a tweet that somebody said like, why did you freaks make Walton Goggins into a sex symbol? And I'm like, hold the fuck up. He did that by himself, first of
Right.
all. He is so sexy. He always has been.
Absolutely.
I don't even care. I thought he was adorable. Way the fuck back in Shanghai Noon. Like, don't play with my boy. He is fine.
He is very fine. But yeah, no, I don't know, with Max, it's just like I think I think he sees Lucy, as this happy, like optimistic person, and he is trying to be a hero for her, right? He's
Yeah.
that knight in shining armor, saving her from Cooper, and then, he's trying to be her hero, but I don't he's got to realize that's not really who he is based on his dark side, which I mean, living in the world that they do, of course, like you got to do what you do to have to do to survive. But he, like you guys had said, like he's definitely going to most likely think that Cooper had kidnapped her, right? But how he goes about that, whether like you said, Heather, he's going to make her choose, which
Mm-hmm.
is entirely possible, which I can see that as well. That's a beautiful headcanon.
Yeah, yeah.
um I read a fan fiction too where I don't think it's complete, but where they were going back to Vault 33, and Max had kidnapped Norm to for the Brotherhood to use against Hank because they didn't know where Lucy was, right? So, which I thought was pretty interesting, and I'm wondering if that is something that they're going to go for, because the Brotherhood's they're going to try to get what they want. They're going to go after Hank for sure. So, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's all very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Oh yeah.
just, I'm like, I'm excited about it. Like, I wouldn't say I'm worried. There is that potential of like things being fucked, and I'm hoping that they
Mm-hmm.
don't do it. And that's what me and Chelsea say. If you're not going to give us the ship, then fine, but don't don't do something stupid. Like even Walton Goggins has come out saying it's not father-daughter. So once that came out, like what could you say? Okay, yeah, maybe it's platonic, fine, but like it's not father daughter. Don't make this weird just because, he's older than she is. Like it's not that. Um So yeah, I think that Max is a very interesting character.
Mhm.
And yeah, unfortunately for everyone, or fortunately for us, Cooper is in the show. And I just think that there's something just attractive about and it's interesting because a lot of the antis or whatever are like, well, he abused her, he sold her, he did all of these things to her. And it's really hard, not to defend it, but to be like, you have to understand his character motivation about why he's doing all of that.
Mhm.
Technically speaking, he could have killed her and still used her as bait, but he
For
didn't. He
sure.
kept her alive, and he didn't immediately sell her. They went to that medical center and they saw
Mhm.
Raj. And I loved that moment because that's where Lucy really saw. I mean, at the time she didn't, but I think she realizes it now, is that glimmer of humanity where, Cooper mercy kills Roger, right? And I don't know. I think that there's so much potential of like this world and the story. And I want it. If you're not going to give me that necessarily, like, okay, Cooper and Lucy are going to ride off into the sunset, fine. But don't have Lucy get with Max, or don't have Cooper go back with Barb, or don't force it. Like, I don't want that either. Like, I'd
Yeah.
rather just not have anything than to have it be like, yeah. But anyway,
Have it be like destroyed
yeah,
Yeah.
by the
exactly.
worst bullshit.
Sorry, I totally agree. Like, I really, if they don't do it, fine. There's always fan fiction,
Yeah.
right? But if they do it, I really hope it's satisfying. And like, we've all read some really good fanfics about this pairing. So if it's going to be as satisfying as some of the top fanfics we've read, who knows? But I'd rather them not do it. I'd rather them have Cooper and Lucy be platonic if they're gonna just make him sacrifice himself or whatever. So we'll see. We'll see.
We will see.
So, Chelsea, do you have any other questions?
Not at the moment, and I actually am gonna have to wrap soon because Hurricane Beryl might come in this direction, and we've got to take a
Oh no.
generator to my cousin just in case they need it
Oh
for
no.
power. My husband just fixed their generator for them, and we're gonna take the generator over there and drop it off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sucks. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Seriously, like
Real.
that's
Yeah.
terrifying.
It,
And I
such
think,
a normal part of life down here
yeah,
that like
right.
it's
Yeah,
weird to be normal about this, I feel like.
we don't get hurricanes. Sometimes we get tornadoes, but tornadoes scare the hell out of me. So I'm not with it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't like
Mhm.
tornadoes either. Ugh.
Mm-mm.
But anyway, Kate, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us and just
Yeah,
talking
super
us
fun.
about Fallout. We will let you know when the episode comes out. Do you have
Sounds
any
good.
other questions for us or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, we've talked over the past, I don't even know how long we've been talking, like an hour and a bit. Like we've
Yeah.
been talking for a while. So off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything.
Awesome. Well, if
Thank you
you,
so much for
yeah,
writing, Ruined. It's
yes,
so good. I love
Thank
it.
you for
Like it's
reading. I
fabulous.
appreciate it.
yes.
I'm
And
a developmental editor. I read books like every day for
Oh,
my
really?
job, and I have really genuinely enjoyed your fanfic, and I
Oh,
love it.
thank you. That
yeah,
makes me happy.
yeah. So, if anyone wants to know like the best way to contribute to fanfic authors, it's just leave a review, like, or, like a kudos, sure, but like any comments that's
Comments.
respectful, that's nice, like that's the thing that's really going to
Oh, for
help
sure.
bolster the story. And there, like, I know it's said, but like you guys aren't getting paid for this, and so
Mhm.
you're donating your time and being part of something. And I just think it's such a beautiful thing because you have something like Fallout, and that begets more creativity in fanfic or fan art or in these, these edits. And just I love just the beauty of that creation based on, you know, this fandom. And so thank you for what you're doing, because you are contributing in such a positive way. And honestly, like, it's like if I have a bad day, I can just pull up your fic and like get sucked back into it and just forget about it. So and thank you for talking to us. We had so much fun. We love talking to you.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone, please go check out her fic on
Yes.
AO3. It's excellent. I highly recommend it.
Yes. And we'll link it down in the show notes. But yeah, until next time, thanks again, Kay. And we will
Thanks so
talk
much.
soon. I'm sure we'll,
Absolutely.
like, season 2, we want to definitely talk again and see if our crack theories or our headcanons came out to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to talk again, you guys. It was super awesome.
Oh,
Thanks for
thank you
having
so
me.
much. Of course.
Thank you
All
for
right.
joining us. It's been fabulous.
It's been
Yes.
awesome.
All right. Bye.
Bye.